Hi, I'm Claire Tompkins, the Clutter Coach, and this is the Organize Your Life podcast. I am passionate about organizing because it makes my clients' lives so much easier, more relaxed, and with more time to spend the way they want to. In every podcast in the show, I'll lay out a simple organizing concept, and I'll tell you why it's important. I'll also include an action step at the end so you can start practicing right away. My specialty is chunking down this big topic so it's not overwhelming. That's the concept for this podcast, which is based on my first book, 52 Simple Ways to Get Organized. The book is available on my website and on Amazon. I work with clients in person in the Berkeley, California area and via email and Skype, so you don't have to be local to me. Visit the Hire tab on my website or email me at claire@cluttercoach.net. If you like the show, please rate it and review it. To do that, go to my website, cluttercoach.net, and scroll down for the show notes. Each show notes post has a link to leave a review in iTunes. I would so appreciate that. Okay, on to the podcast. I'm starting something new this week. I'm going to be posting the entire script for each podcast as a post on my blog. So if you don't want to listen, would prefer to read, or if you like to just refer back to something in a written form, you can come over to my website, www.cluttercoach.net, and look at the blog post for that particular day. This is podcast 75, and it's called Do It Your Way. Back in podcast 17, I talked about how you can make your office less boring and conventional by outfitting it with patterned file folders and maybe a tape dispenser shaped like an animal. Today, I'll talk about making your processes and systems less boring. By that, I don't mean they'll necessarily be fun, although that's always a good side benefit. What I mean is that they will be more you. I do this myself. Customizing my service for each client has always been a big part of how I work. If cookie-cutter solutions worked, no one would need me. Over the years, I've amassed tons of organizing ideas, plus information about habit formation, reaching goals, human behavior, and psychology. I use all of that with each person I work with. I don't have a proprietary system or template that I use. Less boring for me and more effective for my clients. The reason I'm thinking about this now is that I wanted to commit to getting up earlier so I could be more productive. And it's totally not working. I don't like getting up early, and I certainly don't like going to bed early. I was pushing myself because it's a given that if you rise earlier, you'll be healthy, wealthy, and wise, right? You'll get the early worm. You'll be a success in life, all that stuff. There really aren't any proven absolute benefits to getting up early, though. Surprisingly, when I read about why people do it, I realize that this concept is great if you have a regular job and kids. People in that situation don't have unclaimed time in their schedules, so the only way to get it is by carving out time from the early morning. Makes a lot of sense. I work for myself, and I don't have kids. I don't schedule early client appointments. For the most part, my time is my own, so I can use it the way I want to. Obviously, if I wasn't getting things done, I might change things, but my schedule works for me. Getting up early is not necessary or desirable. So back to you. Have you tried to change some things and it hasn't worked? Are you trying to fit your square peg into a round hole? Are there ideas you've heard in my podcast that sound great but just really aren't for you? If so, I hope you've been able to cobble pieces of ideas together to make something that does work for you. If you haven't figured it out yet, here are some common problems and then solutions that might work better for you. Problem number 1, trouble with focusing. First of all, spend smaller amounts of time. Work on projects serially for as long as you can stay focused on them. Or do them simultaneously if that keeps you engaged. Multitasking, which is what that is definitely not a productivity aid. But if you don't mind that each project will take longer, switch around at will. You'll finish things eventually, and that is what counts. Try the time timer. You can find that one online at timetimer.com. It's a clock that shows the time you've set as a red section on its face. As the time gets shorter, the red section shrinks. So it gives you a really specific visual and physical sense of time passing. Numbers are abstract, but a shape that keeps getting smaller is really easy to grasp. Problem number 2, tidying up is boring. Try this. Set a time limit for tidying, maybe even use that time timer, and make it a race. Or put on some music. Or get on the phone with somebody who loves to talk so you can just listen while you do your work. Take a picture of your tidy desktop or bedroom chair once you've finished tidying and post it on Facebook so your friends can congratulate you. If you find it hard to stick to one spot when you're putting things away, go from room to room. Put one thing away in the living room, then go to the bedroom, find one thing to put away there, and so on. Getting into motion can help with physical restlessness and tedium. Problem number 3, routine tasks are boring. So try this. Take your work to another spot. Pay your bills out in the backyard, for example. If you pay them with an online bank account, you can give each payee a cute little nickname. Listen to a podcast. Change your experience of the task. Clear off the table because it needs to be used to plan world peace, not because it's a boring task that just has to be done. Problem number 4, I don't want to change, but I want to be organized. Well, anyone can be more organized, if not completely organized. The secret is achieving it your way, whether that means throwing stuff into a plastic trash bag to get it out of sight for a party, and then little by little putting all that stuff away, which is how I did it in college. The bottom of the bag was usually full of overdue library books. Or keeping your business receipts in a shoebox under the bed. Or doing a late-night purging session because that's when you can focus. Your way means the way that you don't resist doing it, so that you do it, and that's why it works. It may not be the most efficient, but you're doing it little by little. The better way doesn't matter because you won't do it that way. A Chinese medicine doctor once told me that boiling herbs was more effective medically than taking pills, but most people wouldn't boil the herbs because it took too long and smelled funny. So he prescribed pills because he knew his patients would take them and get better instead of not boiling the herbs and not getting better. What can you do now? First, give yourself permission not to do any of the things you think are great ideas, but you haven't done them for whatever reason. Just stop. That alone will give you some mental release. Then let your mind be curious and open. Ask yourself how a person could do whatever particular task you need done in a different way, and see what pops up. Hey, thanks for listening. I'm Claire Tompkins, the Clutter Coach. If you like the show, I'd love it if you leave a rating and review in iTunes. You can subscribe, too, so the podcast will be ready and waiting for you to listen to. You'll find the show notes on my blog at www.cluttercoach.net, and you can check out my store to find books I've written and a whole bunch of other stuff. If you're a fan of the show, you can become a patron on patreon.com for as little as $1 a month. You can find my page by going to the Patreon website, that's Patreon, and searching on Clutter Coach. I'll still post the podcast free of charge, but I've got some cool rewards for folks who want to help me make the show even better. Come back next week for a new podcast.